As noble citizens, we must bypass a life of dormancy and vice to pursue the generative endeavor of a hard day's work. The benefits of these pursuits are not secured by chance or charity, but through the merit of your character and the firmness of your convictions. It is you who are planting the seeds of trees whose shade you know you shall never see.
Hello, boom, we're in. Welcome, good morning. It's time for the Broken Wind podcast, episode X, to be determined. And I'm here with my super producer and friend, the main vein himself. Top of the morning to you. How you doing over there? It's bright and early. Neither of us slept enough. So you know we're gonna have a good time. How you doing, big guy?
Doing well. I'm tired as well, but ready to give you the news. It's been a little while. I think probably about 2 weeks since we've done the news. Mm-hmm. Last time we covered Epstein quite a lot, and Epstein has not gone away, and he's not going away.
What we're talking about. Still hasn't gone away. Not going away. Still hasn't gone away. Yeah, we'll have to make sure we take a moment to think if there has been any fresh. Because my God, we'll have to talk Lady Ghislaine. Yeah, we have the Ghislaine part, and we have to talk a little bit. But we'll get through the outline first because there's plenty to talk about. And at the top of the show, I thought we could have some talk a little light, fun culture, but also as the listeners may know, we take brave, bold positions on this show. We're not afraid to take a controversial opinion. So I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say what everyone's thinking. And I want to make sure we have it on the record for our show. And I wanted people to know I'm not afraid to say this. Sydney Sweeney's boobs are racist. All right? I'm saying it. I'm not holding back. I know everyone's been thinking this, that those boobs are real...
extremely bigoted.
Yeah, there's a lot of those are some bigoted breasts, and they are really problematic. We all know that. In fact, being really attractive as a white woman is problematic. Once again, I'm not afraid to say that. I don't care. You're one of the biggest things you can do as a white woman, as an ally, is go troll mode. Yeah, don't be afraid to be a troll. It's okay. You know what? Trolls can be beautiful too. Sydney Sweeney, racist, racist boobs. Yeah, that's the bit I've been thinking about for like a week and a half. So thank you for coming to my bit about Sydney Sweeney and her boobs and her racist ads. Did you see the actual ad though?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of undeniable. A lot of people have been denying it, like the Elon salutes. I say plural salutes.
Dude, yeah, the ad, because I understand people's instincts to want to be like, oh, people are overreacting. And there's plenty of instances that can be pointed to where people are overreacting on a similar thing. I don't feel like this is one of those. This feels like very of a moment.
Yeah, and it's like, are there more important things going on? Yes, absolutely. But
yeah, there are. But this was advertising people in a boardroom somewhere thinking, if we're dog whistling about eugenics, that'll cause some controversy at least. That's the thing that creeps me out about it, is
and fashion's always trying to cause controversy. There's nothing new about that.
And the history of fascism and fashion houses is one of consistent collaboration. It's not one where they're standing in bold opposition to the wealthiest people in society. That's never been what fashion houses do historically. Not that American Eagle is a fashion house, but I just have people who aren't Republicans making the argument of oh, come on, the ad's not it's dude, advertising people are sneaky. They know what they're doing. They know that controversy is
the cultural tides are changing.
Yeah, and it's not to say that even any of them are little Goebbels in the marketing boardrooms that came up with this. It's just that they know that it can be controversial and they can get away with it, and it's very of the moment. So that's why they did that, and it is
And it's catering to a growing
demographic
that's harder and harder to resist. That there's a permission structure set up now for people who want to consume that.
Yeah. It's just so dog brain too, the whole like everyone being like ready to go to be like, well, Sydney Sweeney's a Republican. I guess it's the party of hot girls now. Everyone better get on board. It's like
that's the Andrew Schultz mindset.
What is this, middle school? Like, yeah, it's like, oh, there's
I vote for the party that gets laid
over there. It's like, what? That was always like crazy to me. And then doing this whole like, oh, guess what? We're winning an advertising sort of song and dance that they've been doing, even outside of the Sydney Sweeney ad, but doing that while the Epstein stuff is still going on has been hilarious to me, especially with the Sydney Sweeney ad though, because it's like their only move to get everyone to stop talking about this is like, hey, see that hot girl? See, look at that! Look how hot she is. We think she's hot too.
Oh man,
and she's a Republican. Fuck
like
yeah!
Ted Cruz.
It's like that's the
move.
Eyes,
I think, or
it's
something
like
about Sydney Sweeney.
It's like, buddy, I just got laid off, like, and everything costs $1 bajillion. Like, what are you talking about? Is that working for anyone? I don't know. Yo, check this ass out. He's so cute right now.
See that? Oh, that boy.
Dude, he's doing belly up. We're talking about my cat. It's so morning. It's so early for the listener. I can't even pick my words right. I'm sounding so god silly. But what is there anything else you want to say about like the trend in advertising towards dog whistles like this?
I mean, obviously, it's not a good sign of where our culture is headed, and we have some agency in that, I think. So while there's still a chance, we probably should react in some way to ads like this before it just starts to become the norm. And also, I'm remembering, too, how there was recently, similar to this, just stuff in social media about the change of advertisements, like ads in 2016 versus ads in 2025, ads in 2020 versus 2025, and people putting those side by side. And the implications of that are pretty disturbing. Although there's always, to say that there's such a thing as a neutral ad, obviously, is preposterous. When you go through the eras, all of them seem ridiculous. Like the eras of advertisement, any era that you look at seems to be ridiculous. Like if you look at the 90s clothes that they were wearing, or the early 2000s, every ad has a gimmick. They all have phases. So I'm certainly not in complete disagreement of saying, like, looking at 2020 ads, that they were very inclusive and pro, like, heavy girls, or
heavier people of color, right?
But to like completely tilt in the exact opposite direction in such a quick pace is pretty alarming.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, dude, I see exactly what you're saying, because like that's the thing about this. That's like, okay, like, yeah, maybe it's totally innocent and they're not making a eugenics dog whistle, which is, again, it's not like a term I like to throw around lightly, but that's the joke, is like, haha, genes determine how beautiful you are, which is a major cultural trend. And that like whiplash effect you're describing of being like, hey, look, we're diverse, we've got a lot of different bodies, lots of different people, to being like, the whites are back. It is like the photogenic whites are back in town. That is like that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's like that kind of like corporate guidance going through. There is something like very like cold and like concerning for sure about that. I mean, we've talked a bit about trends in advertising on this show, and this has been one of the funniest things about it too. Is like this was the Brandon era narrative that was so embarrassing to have to be like selling to people, but he's shameless enough he didn't mind, of like, oh, look, we got so much. Look at all the people in advertising. It's like the idea that like you can use how people look in advertising as a bellwether of the success of your political movement, which is like stupid. It's stupid. It's not a useful. It's like, sure, yeah, that can be good that like your movement has gained some acceptance in society because they're having to recognize us in advertising. But it's still like it's a very hollow victory, and it always was a hollow victory when Brandon was selling it, and it's a hollow victory for these people too, and they know it. And it's like I don't know how the anyone's dealing with being a conservative right now, it's like they're this whole like, oh, we have the one hot girl, check it out. It's like it just reeks of desperation. It's like.
There's such a danger, I think, that also happened in Germany with a lot of these early companies that were brands like Hugo Boss and fashion design brands. Balenciaga. That you're flirting with the idea of social class, and when you're flirting with the idea of brand, the two kind of seem to be inseparable. And when you're also flirting with the idea of objectifying women, you're building essentially a societal permission structure that says these are what the attractive, most desirable women look like. And that's always been the case. I think that that's really how people come to find what is attractive. The idea that blonde hair, blue-eyed women are naturally attractive to everybody, I think, is a learned social impulse from trying to feel socially rewarded, as if the world has rewarded you with the objects of desire that everybody else wants. And so I think there's kind of a learned behavior there that we can be reinforcing or not reinforcing, essentially. And so it's all really bad, and I've always felt that advertisement is bad and should go away ultimately in the long run. And with that said, I think it's time to go to an ad. Ad break.
Yeah, we're going to put a quick little ad break in here. We got ads now. We're selling ads. We're doing Blue Chew. We're doing, gambling. We're doing fake weed. We're going to do all the
we're
good,
selling some
good
products.
Kratom. We're if it's addictive, we're selling it.
If you want some male vitality products, we've got it.
Yeah. We love advertising. I do, but like I was starting to say, we have talked advertising a lot on here. I've started to hear other sort of commentators talk about the trend of like celebrities in advertising being something that's only accelerated. You now have like endless slews of like very small influencers being used in advertising too.
Yeah.
And I very much go like I watch ads for like just for curiosity's sake.
Hey, can I bring up one thing that's kind of out of left field?
Yeah, please.
Shows you about the pace that I'm operating on the social media, which is very behind. I had a realization about the term Demure recently, and I think our show is pretty Demure. To be honest.
Oh, God, we're Demure.
I think ultimately I'm tying it in with the ads, that I'm seeing a lot of these Demure ads essentially shot that are filmed essentially with an iPhone, produced like absolute crap, like definitely the cheapest possible thing that could be produced. But what they can do is now target specific customers and target your sense of personal connection with this person. So if you happen to fall into a certain demographic, they can find someone who feels very demure to you and cater this very cheap ad to you that is actually quite powerful and effective. And if they can get a few customers from it, then it turns into a very low cost, very high yield return. And so I think to me was the phenomenon of realizing kind of late. Demure, obviously I heard about Demure like a year ago or whenever it was really going big. But
we're Demure.
Yeah, we're
right?
Demure. This show is very
we're
Demure.
Demure on this show. We're still Demure. We didn't give up on being
Never
Demure.
did. Never
People
stopped being Demure.
You know, just because we're hard on the Democrats doesn't mean we're not Demure, all right? I don't want to hear about, you guys are late on Demure. Shut up.
We were Demure before Demure was cool. We're still going to be Demure long after.
And now we're still Demure. Yeah, we're not done being Demure just because it
was trendy
the Democrats,
in late 2024.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't, like, we're going to, for the listeners, we'll need to talk about Epstein a little bit more too in this episode. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but I definitely want to spend a lot of the rest of this episode talking about the Democrats because, you know, it's something we've talked about a lot, but the absence of a response in this moment of any kind is crazy. The degree of like abdication that we're seeing continue, and in some cases in a good way. We'll talk about that, but are you still there?
I'm here.
Yeah,
sorry about that for leaving you hanging.
Oh, it's cool. Normally I can hear your deep breathing.
Normally
I can hear you breathing like
I was throwing the clip in. And I'll throw it in with Trump saying, are we still talking about Epstein?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, we are.
yes. Yeah. I guess, we'll pivot to...
we got to talk a little bit about the Trump Epstein stuff that we didn't get to cover after the last episode, maybe.
Yeah, well, why don't we cover Epstein stuff now, and then I'll talk about various vicious parasites like the Democrats. So let's
did you hear when he said that Virginia Guffrey was stolen?
Were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken, and it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad, but that story's been pretty well out there, and the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were. Yes,
yeah.
What did they do?
In the spa.
What kind of jobs? In the spa.
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago, and people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone, and other people would come and complain. This guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Guffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know.
I did hear this. It is insane. Like the I didn't get the privilege of going to his island. Did you catch that one?
Yeah. I didn't get the privilege of going to his island. I do have that one too.
That was really something.
Yeah, and that is really something.
I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
Holy shit. That wasn't...
Yeah, it's just... Other people have said it too. It's just a very bizarre way of phrasing that. Also, the way of phrasing that this 16-year-old girl was his, basically, and he said that he had a falling out with Epstein because she stole his girl. And it's like, why would you say it that way about like a 16-year-old? And then he's also just talking about a spa, which is like so notoriously a shady deal. There was also in his first administration, like this notorious like Florida, I think she might have been like somewhere from Asia, but there's like a corruption scandal in Trump's first administration about someone who attended Mar-a-Lago and ran a child sex trafficking operation. And that, in hindsight now of so much evidence dripping out, that Trump was actually deeply implicated with Epstein in all sorts of crazy things like trafficking, as we talked about last episode. Just more
when did
and more.
we record last? I can't even remember. Like, was it like almost a month ago now? When
It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, our last episode.
It was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, like I feel like the degree to which public fandom, and it shows you what if like this was just a fashion for these people the whole time, which is so annoying. But the public fandom of MAGA has, and I live in a place where that is a very strong culture, like current of culture.
Yeah.
But I do not see a lot of like proud public MAGA support these days.
Right.
It's still there in some places. It's still, people still have their big stupid signs up.
See a lot fewer bumper stickers, a lot fewer signs up here.
Yeah, it's a lot less of. It's a lot of people realizing, oh, this has been like embarrassing, and if they weren't like, they should have been humiliated sooner. They should have been embarrassed sooner. But if this is the thing that gets you to realize that it is embarrassing to continue to fall for this asshole and is like bullshit, like like incessant nonsense, then like that, good, sure, whatever, like that's exciting in some ways, so I like seeing that. I'm trying to think what else
did you get to
for Epstein.
Maybe if you want to move on from Epstein for now, did you get to hear the Epstein thing from, or not sorry, he's on my mind. The Besson.
We're so tired.
The Besson thing from not too long ago.
I love Scott.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to check back in on Besson.
Check in with Scott. Yeah, we're going to talk mostly Democrats later on, so why don't we just, we'll talk about what's been going on with these guys. We're so sleepy. There's
the tariffs and the economy, so we're kind of going to breeze over that.
Too, is like, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm looking at that, what we've outlined, and thinking about what we should talk about. And the tariffs definitely feel like they fit into that too.
Yeah. So,
although it's hard to say like what's new besides like us and Europe are totally like,
yeah. So this was a couple weeks back, and we didn't get to talk about it with Scott Besson, and he's asked about the 90 deals in 90 days. Which is awesome. Just the type of like sloganing.
What happened to that, huh?
Yeah,
right?
The slogans that we get.
There's going to be 90 fucking deals in 90 days.
Pretty incredible pace for trade relations that usually take years per one deal. But all right.
Look, buddy, you're talking trade relations. I'm talking.
We're talking
deals,
art of the deal.
That's why he can do it, because it's an art and he's a master of it. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes deals are threats, and that's what this clip is about. So here we go.
Play it.
Why haven't we seen the kind of deals that he promised in the last 90 days?
Again, he didn't promise this, and when we send out the 100 letters to these countries, that will set their tariff rate. So we're going to have 100 done in the next few days. And
but that's not a deal. That's a threat.
No, that's the level. That's the deal. If you want to trade with the United States, this is.
But that's not a negotiation. That's just a
many of these countries never even contacted us.
They never even contacted us. That sounds good.
I'm getting my homework done. They're gonna reach out to me. Yeah, dude. It's so, the tariffs have been, when they write of the American decline and of the American century of humiliation in the future, the tariffs will loom large in demonstrating, because it seems like this country could do quite a bit of like mass murder and slaughter and warfare senselessly for the past several, 50 or like 5+ decades.
Yeah, hardly anything new.
And that was right. That was not considered the kind of like incompetence, because you can make a profit on that. Like that, as grim as it is, like that was not considered the kind of like insanity that this is. Whereas like to the world of other countries and like other leaders and stuff, it's like seeing this tariff like, oh, these guys are mobsters.
Yeah, like
these
guys
are just like gangsters.
Right, like we're
not negotiating with them.
Where is the inflection point for where its own internal logic of neoliberalism and low-cost trade, sort of like a NAFTA, lowering the barriers of trade to almost zero, essentially. Where did that fall apart, and where's the inflection point where you can actually see the diversion of that? And that's clearly starts in Trump's term, is continued in Biden's term. I'm talking specifically about the tariffs against China, which didn't really make sense in the first term. And then the Democrats, as they usually do, continued to do a nonsensical policy for fear that taking a stance on it would make them appear to have too much of a spine, apparently. They think that would be baggage, as usual, and so they tend to shy away from taking a position, and once again sat on the fence through Biden's first administration, and he didn't win a second administration, is a key point. And so then Trump wins again and continues and actually expands this completely irrational, from the standpoint of neoliberal economics, this trade policy that is going to cause the complete departure of the U.S. and the collapse of the U.S. empire, the century of American humiliation, as we talk about.
The they've done with Europe blows me away, because it's like Europe has been a vassal state to the U.S. since the end of World War II. It's a pretty uncontroversial opinion, but it's been one of those things where it's like they're kind of the exemplary vassal. They're kind of the people that like help make it look good to be an American vassal, and, you know, launder in the sort of like culture of the Western world for people. And that's like a role Europe has played historically. But the humiliation tour that Donald Trump just went on through Scotland and the UK was unreal. And watching him sit down with these leaders and just dog walk them into like the stupidest deals, watching that woman who's the head of the EU be like, yes, I think this would be very good for everybody. It's like,
that was so crazy, her saying that it's a mutually beneficial deal. When for so long they've resisted, because it's obviously a poison pill that they have to swallow.
Yes.
We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. It's 15% tariffs across the board, all inclusive. The investments Mr. President just described, that going to go to the United States, and the purchases over there. Indeed, basically the European market is open. It's 450 million people. So it's a good deal. It's a huge deal. Yeah. It was tough negotiations. I knew it at the beginning, and it was indeed very tough, but we came to good conclusions for both sides. So again, congratulations and many thanks.
Yeah, she's pretending that it's a good deal for everybody, when it's clearly a negation of basically a century's worth of lower and lower cost of trade. And all of our expectations, such as the idea that our 401ks are going to continue to grow and that perpetual growth was possible, these notions that only were possible under neoliberalism, all of that must change at this inflection point where you've decided, no, actually, it's fine to suddenly pursue a policy of higher cost international trade, even though that is going to cause a reduction in the volume of sales. And that is going to cause a crisis of supply, because it is an inflection point by definition.
Yeah, liberalism really sold everyone on the idea that like we could all just be like friends and colleagues, and no one ever had to like be at odds. But like that. The thing, like, not a trade expert, not a tariff expert, but like, I think in very simple terms, with what has just happened in Europe, it can be understood like this. Imagine if, you had, we'll say, a landlord and you pay a certain rent to them, and they guarantee a certain, service, be it the property you live on, and theoretically other things pertaining to that, like, maintenance and yada yada. Your rent goes up, and you ask, oh, well, is there gonna be, improvements on this? And the answer, it's like, this is just like raising.
No, and actually I'm raising your rent even more. And now you have to come and kiss their ass.
How much am I,
because the fear of losing your house, perhaps because so many people around you are losing their houses, that now the situation is such that you just feel you have to kiss the landlord's ass. Even though,
and then you ask, like,
even though you're not getting anything more,
by? And you're like, oh, it's changing.
It's changing. It was going to be 5%. Now it's 10%. And actually, the following year, it could be 12%. And I can't guarantee any security for you. Are you going to take it or are you going to leave it?
Right, and the rent metaphor isn't perfect, but I use it because it's a scam. One, just like the tariffs are, and then two, the idea is that, like, basically the Europeans are getting exactly the same deal they've gotten since World War II, except they're paying more for it, and in many ways it's a worse deal than at that time, because this is a much more austere country.
You're going to accept a lower standard of living, and you're going to now thank me for giving you a lower standard of living.
Yeah, so
and
get ready for
to
your
Americans,
F-150s to be
this
plowing
is supposedly
through your school children in historic buildings. You're going to be having your drunkest people blasting through your quaint little European villages in the largest truck you've ever seen.
And it's easy to see how you would think that this would be beneficial to you as Americans to be able to negotiate this even harder, more extreme deal that nobody thought anybody could negotiate, by being bad faith essentially the whole time within the negotiations, and at no point ever settling for less than the most extreme version of your negotiation, essentially, and using that as a negotiation tactic and thinking that you're going to win in the long run is actually preposterous when other countries do have an alternative and have the ability to build an economy that just simply doesn't include you. And another thing that's happening on the broad scale that exemplifies this mentality that Trump puts on the world stage, Trump essentially acts like our business, both as a customer and as a seller, is essentially unreplaceable in the rest of the world. And so he acts like the ultimate Karen in these stores and says, like, even though I've been doing less business with you for the past 50 years and it's continuing to decline.
Yes, that is anti-white woman racism he's doing there. And we support that on the show, once again.
Even though it's declining, even though I'm doing less business with you, you still need to expect my business, and I'm entitled to feel like my business is always as valuable with you, even though I'm actually becoming a less and less important client. So it's kind of like that Office thing where Michael's asked, how important is this client after the mistake that was made where Creed makes a mistake printing and they don't catch the quality control issue. And the customer gets a misprint with some inappropriate cartoons printed on their what's supposed to be blank paper. And so the customer complains and is taking it up basically all the way up the chain. And Michael is asked, how important is this client? And he says, oh, well, it's not really a very important client or something like that.
But it's like actually a huge one.
Took a while to get to the bit, but it's like basically shows
early,
like it's early for us. It shows that the customer is not always important. Obviously, the manager of a store judges the size. Not all of you are equally important children.
If you heard that bit and you think that was confusing and took a while to pay off, shut the up.
I'm going to trim it down.
It's not your place. All right. No, don't.
Has to be left fully intact.
Leave it in. But what I was going to say, too, is like Europeans are not ready for the drunk driving technology that we are about to introduce into your quaint, small little towns and cities
and
with
our
your
big
walkable
pickup
infrastructure
trucks that you now have to purchase.
We're going to need to use some bulldozers to clear some historic buildings out of the way to make room for our F-150s. I mean, that really is like they're planning to sell F-150s.
I know,
to the
it's
Europeans.
crazy. They're going to sell our huge ass cars to Europeans and force them to buy it, and then the UN people or the European leaders basically have to thank Trump as they buy these useless trucks to them.
So speaking of flesh-eating parasites in America, you're gonna love. This is a great pivot. We're gonna update. We're gonna give you a quick update on one of my little bugbears, or just bug, is the New World screwworm and how it's going. With it's, I think we should get some good news. There's a lot of mass death in the world of bugs and in the world of human beings. But bugs, I mean, people talk all the time about how bug density on like car grills is way less than it was before. If you live anywhere that has fireflies, you probably see fewer fireflies. So it's nice to hear about bugs doing well, right? And expanding their territory and like experiencing some growth. Except that, as the listeners may know from our previous update, the New World screwworm is a creature that could have been conceived of by a horror writer like H.P. Lovecraft or that other guy, Edgar Allan Poe. The life cycle of this creature is that it bursts forth from the soil, flies around, mates once in its life, which is very important for anyone who may have caught our last update on this, and then it bites some animal and lays its eggs in that wound, and then those larvae burrow their way out of the wound, eating flesh as they escape, creating a big infected open wound, and then as they reach a certain level of maturity, those larvae move from the infected wound down to the soil. They basically fall out, where they continue gestating until they burst forth once again, and the cycle repeats itself. So this animal basically is either living inside of an animal's open infected wound or in the dirt of the soil. It's basically its life cycle is moving between those two places. Nightmarish.
Love it.
And great. So to the listeners who may not know what I'm talking about, or why I brought up this horrible creature.
Now you have to guess which one of us has that relationship for the other one.
It's me. I'm the screwworm. All right. It's not. Let's relax. Okay. You're not. I'm the one burrowing out of your flesh. The screwworms are being the screwworms have been. You look into the Great Fly Barrier, like the New World screwworm has more or less been pushed out of North America as far south as Panama for decades at this point. And one thing I clocked 6+ months ago, after just learning about this whole phenomena of keeping these bastards out of this country and as far, as many places as possible, I learned that this whole, arrangement where we keep these guys out of this country relies on having good diplomatic relationships with basically every country south of us. And I thought to myself, that might not last, unfortunately. And sure enough, I've been following the increasing saga of these guys just going further and further north and starting to raise everyone's alarm bells, and now they are knocking on the door of Texas, and the Texas, cattle industry is starting to have to prepare itself for these who are disastrous for the world of cattle raising. Like, that's one of the biggest reasons why they found the political will to eradicate this species from the U.S. is that they cause billions of dollars in damage to cattle. They can kill a cow because of how nasty those wounds can get. So that's coming. Look forward for that. Very exciting.
Lots
and
of
it's
fun
cuts.
with
it's
our
literally,
food, I'm sure, that's coming.
Yeah. Right. It's going to make cattle more expensive. It's going to make going outside, if you live below a certain latitude, it's going to make going outside more dangerous. And it's a crazy slow developing nightmare story. I've been watching closely. And the Texas the big update, like I said, is that the Texas cattle industry is now fully accepting the fact that these are coming and are already there in some places. So, and they seem to be, I've read anecdotal reports too, that they seem to be bolder and hungrier for flesh than they've ever been.
Oh, well, that's what you want to hear about them.
Right, when you're discussing carnivorous flies, you want to make sure they're as bold and hungry for flesh as possible. If they're going to be a carnivorous fly, right?
Yeah.
So
before we depart, we have departed from the economy,
we're
and in part
flies.
we're departed flies. We're
I want to keep it in Texas,
hookworms. But I ended up before going on
worms, buddy. It's not hookworms.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to get that right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to return to the economy before I went on my office tangent. Because another crazy thing
affect the economy. So
definitely. So we haven't completely left yet. And another thing that I wanted to bring up this episode was that the jobs reports, basically, we had these revisions of jobs reports that happened for the months of, I think it was May and June, both got revised down. And it's crazy. There was also a recent tweet not too long ago where Trump, or maybe it was a clip, I'll find it. But so Trump had basically complained about a jobs revision that happened. And these things do happen from time to time. You get revised jobs numbers. That's part of them doing their due diligence that this stuff is going to happen. It's rare that you have such a big jobs revision going from hundreds of thousands of jobs to tens of thousands or low tens of thousands. And there's a specific clip or tweet of Trump complaining about precisely that during COVID and saying this should never, ever happen. There should never be such a large revision of jobs down from hundreds of thousands to low tens of thousands. And so basically one of the months he had 17,000 jobs were created, revised down from nearly 200,000.
The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin that they've inflicted on America. The new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded the numbers with an extra, listen to this one, 818,000 jobs that don't exist. So they said they existed, and they never did exist. They built them up so that they could say what a wonderful job they're doing. No, we've never had numbers like this.
And so he's been sloganing, as he's done with everything, saying that he was going to have 90 deals in 90 days. That time is up. Has not happened. But
where are the deals, Donald?
Yeah. And so we're getting basically the sloganing that the jobs are actually doing wonderful. And so he fired the person responsible for reporting these jobs. And now what I think we're going to find is we're likely no longer going to have accurate jobs numbers anymore. It seems we're going to transition into a country that we would have made fun of, like North Korea or Russia, where a figurehead comes out and simply says, we created 1 billion jobs. And apparently everybody is supposed to just bow down and say, wow, that's great, Emperor God King. That's so awesome. You created 1 trillion jobs last month. I can't believe that. You're up to 1 quadrillion jobs this term. This is unheard of. And apparently we all have to just bow down and assume that this is a good economy, even though we have completely detached from any objective metrics that allow us to make this concept of an economy separate from a political system, which is really the whole thing that allowed us to have Enlightenment values and to entertain the notion that we have a serious economy and it's a natural existing system that is rational, and none of that really makes sense when it turns out that you're able to just replace people you don't like
Well, I was going to say, too, that, like, it's definitely a paradigm shift with the way in which I don't want to say a crossing of the Rubicon because it's a bit overused, but I don't think it is either compared to, like, some of it. Like, I think it's a bit of a paradigm shift.
It is.
But I was
that
just
kind
thinking
of
while
moment.
you were talking, too, that, like, but I also was thinking while you were talking, too, that, like, I think we both agree that jobs numbers have always been kind of like a, one of those metrics like GDP that's like there's a reason it becomes focused on so much more so over other
and they're both
maybe more holistic
right?
metrics.
Like, I mean, 10 years ago, there's a clip of Trump saying the U6 unemployment numbers are bullshit, and people clapped like seals about it.
Don't believe those phony numbers when you hear 4.9 and 5% unemployment. The number's probably 28, 29, as high as 35. In fact, I even heard recently 42%. Do you think we'd have gatherings like this if we had 5% unemployment? Do you really think we'd have these gatherings?
They're talking about GDP the same way too.
Yeah, we understood these numbers are being used to beat us over the head, and that obviously the idea of one job since 1950, the golden age of the United States, where these were union protected jobs, versus now, completely detached.
Right.
Apples and oranges comparisons.
Well,
everybody knows it.
Too,
and only Trump now is going to try to pretend that the U6 unemployment number suddenly matters and actually means some sort of successful metric.
I think one of the periods, if we talk about like the job numbers becoming more and more of a metric to measure, because it is kind of an important metric for like governing overall.
Right.
But I think that since the Obama era and the gig economy really blooming, I think that's a point where the job numbers kind of just became nonsense.
Exactly.
Because I feel like I've been watching people talk about the job numbers in good or mostly good terms. It's like they found a way to be able to produce it. The understanding became that, like, okay, if we can give the politicians a metric that says more jobs are happening every year, then it's like it doesn't matter. Then we can sidestep the question of like, what are those jobs? What are the conditions of those jobs? And so that like the gig economy kind of like came out of this like synchrony of like, someone needing an excuse to be like, oh, we made a bunch of jobs, and Silicon Valley wanting to degrade the labor conditions of certain vulnerable workforces that were not positioned to negotiate well against capital, and were able, like, in places where their relationship to technology made it so that they could be, like, drivers are the one I'm thinking of particularly with this. Is like drivers are one of those things that is tantalizingly automatable. If you just assume that, like, there's no added value to just having, like, a living, breathing, thinking human being doing that work, which lots of these people don't think there is. Yeah. So,
I'm not an economist at all, and I wouldn't pretend to be, but I know enough about economics to know that there is no consensus even about what it means to reach full employment, and that we currently have our institutions set up in such a way that they are meant to be objective. And we see Trump and Powell at the Federal Reserve fighting in public over this disagreement, where Powell is stating, my job as the chair of the Federal Reserve is to call balls and strikes like a good umpire. My job is not to make a certain president look good. And if I just listened to presidents and tried to make them look like they had a good economy by lowering the interest rates, then that I would not be doing my job in charge of an objective institution. And I'm not arguing that these are things that are perfect ideas by any stretch, but this is how we've set up our ability to have America become the world's reserve currency. And it's founded on this notion that we have a rational economic system that is transparent and open and is nonpartisan in that way. And so these agents at these objective institutions have to do their best to try to pretend to do that, or they're going to shake confidence, and those customers are going to leave and go to another economic system such as China that's appearing to be more transparent. And that is what these more stable, transparent. That's what these leaders of these institutions get that Donald Trump does not seem to get, and seems to be pulling the rug out from under. And their concern is that he's going to destroy confidence in all of these institutions. And essentially, I was saying that the job of these institutions is to create the perception that we have this perfectly separate economic system. It's an economy in and of itself. It's not a political economy or a feudal system, because the imperatives of a feudal system are such that the economy and the political system are one and the same. And we have recently, we've had a tendency to flirt with the idea that these two things are not so separate, such as the idea in 2008 that banks were too big to fail. Well, what does that mean? It means the economy is too large, such that the whole political system would collapse if the economy were to collapse. And suddenly that invisible separation that we're able to create, that creates this notion of objectivity to say the economy, that doesn't work anymore when you know that there's behind the curtain, there's people pulling the strings. It's like the Wizard
the logic,
of Oz.
Like, this is the thing that makes me crazy, is like the logic of capitalism completely falls apart if when the guys, pulling the strings, who are supposed to be the objective correct ones in the room, completely fumble the bag and then pay zero consequence for it. It's like, okay, so what is the justification for the accumulation of this capital then? That, like, if these people can position themselves where they are completely immune to risk materializing in any way,
and they get rewarded,
then what, like, then like, they get rewarded, then, like, okay, so they're just the state. Like, then, like, this is, like, there's a tiresome number of
then you're revealing,
okay,
then this is a feudal sort of social system that you're protecting these merchants of the economy by necessity, rather than allowing even a libertarian or like fiscal conservative ought to concede that when the government bails out the banks because they've leveraged themselves 12 times larger than the economy by betting, you actually have to let them fail, and rewarding them actually creates an even larger state and creates, it puts us deeper in that situation of no separation between the economy and politics, and them being one imperative, that the economy cannot fail or else the political system will fail. And thus these people working at these institutions know this to be the case, that they're not only protecting the economy so that the line goes up, they're also protecting the social system. And the whole fabric of this social system could collapse if they make the wrong move, which they're concerned about.
Well, that's what I was going to say, too, is, like, there's been much ink spilt about the vibe session, whether it's real, whether it's not. And, like, I think that there is... I don't like to endorse the idea that your anecdotal experience should be evidence of anything, because I think that's a very dangerous and appealing idea that makes people believe a lot of, like, stupid things. But I also think that when it comes to your job, your anecdotal experiences collectively matter. And I think it's just, like, so revealing that I've always felt like the job numbers are fake, but particularly with those last ones, I remember being like, that's crazy. I remember really feeling like that just didn't seem to be the reality that I was living in. Did not see nearly as many hiring signs as I've seen recently. Didn't, it's like,
anecdotally,
it just didn't add up.
Yeah, I think,
and it's, we were right. So it's like, don't, it's okay to trust your gut, even if I think you want to, like, resist being anecdotally informed by things.
Right. No, I think the reality is that most people are
the vibes are bad. Like,
most people are going to see in their experience anecdotally that it's not matching up, because we're in one of those moments of hyper normalization where I think all of our individual experiences, there's a great likelihood that anyone listening to this is seeing things that just don't seem to match up with the reality. And Trump acknowledged that way back when he said that the U6 unemployment numbers were bullshit. Almost 10 years ago. And so I was saying earlier that there's no real agreement between economists about what is full employment. As we continue to ride this wave of neoliberalism and the notion of perpetual growth, everybody believes that perpetual growth is possible. There's no real floor to how low full employment could go. When I was young, 5% was considered full employment, and it's slowly crept to where I believe right now it's about it might be 4%, but it's trended continuously lower. And even with the Federal Reserve achieving their dual mandate of maintaining inflation and employment, trying to create an equilibrium with the interest rates, what we've found is, much like we don't know how high the economy could go, the S&P could go, because it's supposedly going to keep growing forever. We also don't know how low the floor of full employment is supposed to go. And all the economists in charge of the institutions have said for quite some time that we are at full employment, while the floor continues to drop lower and lower. And why is this? It's because of this transformation of what a job is from 1950s to now, that we have all acknowledged and know that it's an apples and oranges comparison when we're talking about how many jobs. It's
not a political issue for any party. Never.
Yeah.
It's like I always feel like the biggest tell in any political examination is the absence of what is not being discussed, and that is something that is just these people never have anything to say about the conditions of anyone's work. They never have anything to say about how your job, you should make more at your job. It should be safer. You shouldn't have to work as much even.
Yeah. How good is your job? It's great that we've been at full employment for 5 decades, but what the does that mean? What does that mean?
Right, exactly.
How good are these jobs?
Outside of so in the spirit of discussing, people who've been in charge somewhat for the past several decades, this is not a clunky transition, but I want to talk about the Democrats. And first stop on that, we're going to give some big ups because people might think we're too hard on the Democrats here, but I will say that the Texas Democrats did the cool and correct thing, and actually did something that is not, following the rules. They did something that was not exactly what, is most decorous. They didn't follow decorum, but they are now actually stymieing the efforts of the Texas Democrats, or the Texas Republicans, to deliver 5 more state reps to the Republican Party. So that's pretty cool. Respect to them for that. I hope that they're successful in their ability to resist that, and I hope they set a trend that's you can't comply under any circumstances with the demands of these people. You can't, you have to draw a line and not cross it at a certain point. And it does not seem like any of our progressive faves are willing to. Not any, but it doesn't seem like most of them are willing to do that. Shouts out to Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. There's some exceptions, but the Democratic Party overall has not a lot of all-star players right now.
Can we give a shout out to Chuck Schumer for being just a representation of the shell that the Democratic Party is?
Being empty. Where is he? What is he doing? What the fuck? I mean, that's the next thing I'm going to pivot to. Regarding Democrats is the people working in the comms departments of high-level Democrats right now must be some of the most incompetent, geeked out, I got the jobs through insane levels of Oh God, it's so early. What is the word for like when you get a job through familial connections? What is that word?
Nepotism.
Nepotism,
Gotcha,
yeah, like that, like nepotism freaks, like the kind of people running the various comms departments in the Democratic Party right now. And let's give some examples.
James Carville, people who have failed for multiple elections in a row.
Whoever is telling Chuck Schumer that, like, all right, what you need to do, it's probably James Carville, but it's like whoever's telling Chuck Schumer that what you need to do is stay completely still and camouflaged into the background and just pretend like you, as the leader of the Democratic Party, do not exist. Like, there's one all-star political operator coming to that conclusion. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there was that article that he wrote that literally said, like, do nothing. Which, like, how's that working? Because we see a poll, or a recent polling, that shows that the Democratic Party is at a 30-year all-time low. It's like 18% or less favorability within the Democratic base. So it's absolutely ridiculous to think that this notion of just rolling over and playing dead played off, even though the Republican Party is also at an all-time low in favorability. It turns out that you actually have to stand for something in order for people to recognize you as some kind of alternative.
That's so crazy. Yeah, Chuck Schumer, like being openly of the creed that his goal is to make the left pro-Israel, and that's always been his goal, very openly. And that, like, there's just no metric you can point to by which Chuck Schumer's tenure as the leader of the Democratic Party has not been an incredible, resounding failure. And it's like every day they don't... Yeah. Get him.
He's a loser.
It's true though. It's crazy, and it's like the fact that they haven't even, like, are we replacing him? Like, what is going on? What is the plan for these people? Because I keep hearing from people like Destiny and like the various like apologists for the Democratic Party that, like, we have to win elections. We have to win elections. We have to win elections, and I'm like, under what circumstances? Like we have to, with these people, with these politics. Like, I don't think that, like, winning the elections is imperative before the ideological platform. And these people have nothing to offer to that end, and they've proven that they don't win.
Yeah, they never take a leap of faith that says, like, if we were to actually leave the fence-sitting position, maybe people would actually come to us, when all evidence has suggested that any time someone does take a stance like Zohran Mamdani and become clear on political issues, you find a resounding audience that's receptive to that. And yet these too smart by half people, essentially, as you've said before,
it's a great expression.
Yeah, it's a good expression.
It's exactly what they are, dude. It's like people who are so sure of their own competence and brilliance and are just constantly eating shit in spectacular ways. Like, that's the Democratic Party. And that's I want to bring up a particular person. I'm glad you brought up the subject of fence sitting, because this person is like the like Poole? Archetype, the new archetype of this. No, Lisa Slotkin. Bro, I'm so holy shit. The fence-sitting queen of the centrist, the new cool centrist contingent.
She's like, I grew up and loved Reagan. Yeah, you should probably not say that when you're in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, like, she and Pete are like the CIA's latest and greatest, like, candidates to try and save democracy and, like, the idea of, like, the centrist Dem Party. But they're such losers and fence sitters. And the thing with Elisa Slotkin, and just going back to what I was saying about these people's comms department, it's like the decisions I'm about to outline for you, listener, are anyone who claims their jobs in, like, political communications or anything like that, and then they advised a sitting senator to make these decisions about their comm strategy.
To do nothing again?
It's incredible negligence. No, bro, even worse. So, I mean, first off, Elisa Slotkin went on
her going on the Hill,
Crystal Ball. Yeah,
Yep.
which if you haven't watched that interview, do it, please. It is like the Tucker interview in that it's just nice to see someone be antagonistic to a sitting senator, but it's that with like good politics. So it's a f***ing awesome interview. I literally, embarrassing to admit, because it's not sports, but I literally strained my voice yelling about how I was like, "Get him, Crystal!" Like it's so stupid, but
Our
like
version
you know
of
what?
sports.
Like it's fucking
And even
awesome.
Cigar
Yeah,
joined in on her side. Essentially, seemed
slapped her
basically
around. Yeah.
indistinguishable
she didn't
from
make
her.
any f***ing sense, because it's like
When you
these
take a
people don't
moral
have a position that
stance
makes any
against something
sense.
that's an atrocity, it turns out even the Republican put on the panel is like, I can't disagree with that. How am I going to
Right.
reasonably disagree?
At the end of the day, it's like people think that the right. It's not about like taking a correct position as much as it is showing that like you have a vision for where the correct position is, and people aren't so certain of themselves that they aren't willing to like be persuaded by someone who has a clear like ideological vision for why they believe certain things, and the Democrats refuse to believe that because they're paid very well not to.
Yeah, you shouldn't be so spineless
Ball,
as to be turned around and thinking that good is bad and up is down.
Okay, but I want to get to the fence sitting, because this was like the most spectacular act of fence sitting I've ever seen in my life. So first off, just this is what I mean, where it's like, who the f- are these people getting paid six figures to make these decisions for Alyssa Slotkin? Because first they put her ass on Crystal Ball and she gets slapped around and does not look good. And then I think it was the next day, she goes on Stephen Colbert and has like a real like chummy, friendly interview with him. It's like he loves talking about being a Middle East analyst in the Iraq and Fallujah, which you should be
keeping quiet about that in the Democratic Party.
Like anyone in the U.S. military in any capacity, like you should have some contrition about your participation in that war. I don't care how you feel about the U.S. military or your service.
The CIA is even hard baggage for a Republican right now. Like, I don't know what you're doing.
Because of Epstein.
Yeah,
because of Epstein. And this is the thing. So she goes on Colbert. Bro, I don't know if you caught this. Like, she goes on Colbert and then puts out a statement afterwards that says, "Oh, I missed these votes about funding Israel because I was going on Colbert, and if I had attended, I would have voted to not send arms to Israel."
Well, that was really irresponsible of you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, like good thing that you abdicated doing the thing that is your primary responsibility to go like mince with Stephen Colbert, to go mince with Stephen Colbert so that you could not do the most important thing you can do as a senator, which is vote for
aren't you supposed to have like planners
Israel.
For that?
Yeah, dude, let me read this. Like, last night I unfortunately missed a vote series on 2 joint resolutions of disapproval regarding the sale of weapons to Israel. I've struggled with this joint resolution of disapproval.
Oh wow, but would you ever miss a vote for sales of weapons to Israel? Did that ever happen?
Right.
Did you forget?
Or would you like it's so bad faith, because it's like exactly. It's like, I don't think this was an accident. I think this is her way of thinking she's so smart and she can have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly.
She thinks she's so
clever in this age where you cannot get away with this kind of fence sitting. Right. But no, she's smart enough to find a way, and it's going to be that stupid bullshit if the public is not smart enough in the year 2025 to look at your schedule.
Right. It's like, either you shouldn't have this job because you're so incompetent you couldn't coordinate your media appearances with having this vote, or you're as conniving as I expect you are, and you did this on purpose because you're a CIA analyst and you're not stupid, and this was a way, like I said, of trying to have your cake and eat it too. You want to posture as this progressive hero, and yet you not have the spine to even do the very basic, like completely zero cost to you bullshit that would be necessary to actually, like, stand as an ally like this. So I want to finish reading your statement here really quickly. So, I have struggled with this joint resolution of disapproval more than any previous vote in the nearly 2 years since Hamas initiated the attacks of October 7th. Okay, well, clearly you didn't struggle enough, and I think that should be obvious to you at this point. I represent a state with a large Arab and Muslim population and a large Jewish population.
Yeah.
And
like Crystal had said, how can you live with yourself? Like, she doesn't even get to actually make votes, But Slotkin does, and Crystal says she feels guilt, like maybe she doesn't do enough. There was a good clip in that interview that I'll share here.
Yeah.
And
but
I'll let you finish, obviously, reading that.
Just the Democrats, like, posturing as powerless. Everyone's so done with it.
Yeah,
and
we're
so
so
it's like,
done.
okay, so over these last 2 years, few issues have been as raw as this one. Oh, it's very raw. I've therefore worked very hard to call balls and strikes based on my... I hate her fucking folksy... fucking I've worked very hard to call balls and strikes in my experience and the facts on the ground, even as I've worked very hard to think as little as possible and to take any kind of ideological stance that's forward looking. I'm just calling balls and strikes,
at every
even
moment.
as most people fall firmly into one side or another and are often reluctant to consider new information. I owe it to my state to make clear where I stand. Had I made it back for the vote yesterday, I would have voted yes to block offensive weapons to Israel, based on my concerns over lack of food and medicine getting to civilians in Gaza.
For the first time.
What is your
and
life
what's going to be your excuse on the next
like,
vote and the next vote
right,
and the next vote?
What is your life experience? Even if she votes like to block arms to Israel next time, good, thank you. It's like the spectacular degree of incompetence on so many levels that went into the decision to message this way are still like baffling to me. They still like I cannot fathom the messaging office being like, oh, you know what? We can't cancel on Colbert. You know, it's like they're like, oh, we're going to have to release a statement on why we didn't vote for these things. Oh, you know what? We'll have to make sure to let everyone know that if we had made it back, we would have voted to block those weapons to the genocide. Like, that is preposterous.
Yeah, going onto a TV show to apologize for why you're not voting right now.
What like corporate nonsense world do you live in? What is going on at the CIA at this point in time that this like dog ate my homework bullshit it would be acceptable? It's like, you've clearly never had a real job in your life, and that's probably a sore spot for someone coming from a position of privilege like Alyssa Slotkin, being like a meat fortune of some kind and then having worked in the CIA. It's like she probably hates the idea that like she comes like she hasn't earned of like the kind of positions she's managed to weasel her way into. But it's like either you have hired some incredibly stupid and incompetent people, or you are incredibly stupid and incompetent, and that has been demonstrated by this like positioning she's clearly doing for a presidential run. It's like you are going to eat shit in the classic Democrat fashion because you do not know how to message a winning message, and it's exactly what the Democrats are trained to do. And you got that stink, girl. It's on you, and it stinks.
And so you don't even deny that you spend time at the CIA.
Hit me with the loser plug.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Hit me with the loser.
You gotta get that loser.
Hit it for her. Loser. Yep. So.
And also, I mean,
what else is there
as with the Democrats,
right
you could always try doing nothing, like our old friend SpongeBob.
Nothing. We can't just sit here and do nothing.
Oh, they will. They will. That's a Squidward, actually, my friend. That's
You're
not
right.
SpongeBob. I think, yeah. So
I'm like an
anyway.
old parent right now who's like,
we're so
Pokemon.
old, dude. We're so old now. It's crazy. I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
In a similar vein to what we were just talking about, if you haven't been seeing some of the tweets coming from the Andrew in the same vein, if you haven't seen some of the tweets coming from Andrew Cuomo's like campaign office for the New York mayoral election, he is really just completely eating shit in hilarious ways about like, let me find one. The most recent one that like everyone was clowning on him for was this series of tweets. I'll read. Hold on. It's genuinely hilarious to think, like, remember, like, in the course of all this stuff, like what I was just saying about Alyssa Slotkin too, is like there are people being paid six-figure salaries to make these decisions. There are people who are making much better money than you, dear listener, who are like either helping lead or support or whatever the decisions. Like there are people who should know better in these positions, at least by if you're judging how much they're being paid. Like it's insane. So Andrew Cuomo campaign. God, where is it? So it started with Andrew Cuomo going after Zoran Mamdani for living in a rent-controlled apartment and basically saying, you make over 6 figures now. You and your wife make like almost, $500,000 a year or whatever. You should give that apartment up and let a real low-income New Yorker live there. And that was like this line of attack they were going for. So it started with this. Out of a day ago, Andrew Cuomo's comms team on Twitter tweets, somewhere last night in New York City, a single mother and her children slept at a homeless shelter because you, Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani, are occupying her rent-controlled apartment. You grew up rich and married an even wealthier woman. You've had weddings on 3 continents. You own property in LGBTQIA murderous Uganda. You make $143,000 a year plus stipends, and your wife works too, meaning you together likely make well over $200,000. No matter which way you cut it, Zoran Mamdani is a rich person. You're actually very rich. And yet you and your wife pay $2,300 a month, as you have bragged, for a nice apartment in Astoria. That should be housing for someone who needs it. We are in the middle of a historic affordability crisis. Millions of low-income New Yorkers need this apartment and apartment like it, yet your apartment remains rented to rich people who don't need it. Today I'm calling on you to move out immediately and give your affordable housing back to unhoused families who need it. Leaders must show moral clarity. Time to move out. So the Andrew Cuomo comms department has settled on the strategy of forced relocation of this one Muslim guy from New York as not only their means of victory, but also they're solving the affordability housing crisis.
And yet on the other hand, he's run on like, I would be the most quote unquote normal one, that nothing would change, and therefore I would do nothing. Andrew.
Very normal behavior.
I'm going to do nothing when I get in.
Right. Okay. And then, so it gets better because someone named Sean McGuire, which let's just go to his partner at Sequoia Capital. Yeah, this loser. Someone named Sean McGuire piped up after seeing this post say, "It's good to see you fighting." And then the same, presumably Andrew Cuomo staff member who came up with this brilliant strategy responded to that with the quote, and I use that word tenuously, of Muhammad Ali, the Muslim man, right? Saying, this is what Andrew Cuomo said. He said, "Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee." Not the correct quote.
Isn't it float like a butterfly, sting like?
It is float. Yes, it's float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. So his first move is tell everyone that we're going to solve affordable housing in New York by evicting Zoran Mamdani, and then
everyone can move into his rent-controlled apartment. Right. Problem solved.
And then all the poor New Yorkers are going to live in Zoran's place, right? So then his next move after that, after receiving mild praise from one of his wealthy backers, is to misquote Muhammad Ali in Muhammad Ali's spectacularly well-known quote, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." He gets that wrong very publicly. And it's just like, once again, it's like there are probably multiple people making 6-figure salaries to write these tweets. Like, how fake is the economy?
And then did you see the
oh my god,
all the fake videos that were made,
people need a real job
to copy the Zoran one that went super viral with people that you could not fake, like people being genuinely drawn to his charisma. And then you had actually, I think it was Cuomo made his own version of that video, which was very sad. I mean, he didn't openly state that he was trying to directly copy the charisma of Mamdani, but that's what he was trying to do. And it was trying to do like candid interviews with people on the street and things like that.
Oh, right.
And it was a complete...
the guy won't even show his face on camera. I know what you're talking about now.
Sad.
Yeah, it's very funny. It's very well, and that it's all par for the course of what they've always been saying, which is how, it's just classic Democrat. Give me that sound effect again. The wah 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 sound effect. It's just classic Democrat. Because it's like, how can we snatch defeat away from the jaws of victory? You look at what Zoran Mamdani did to win the mayoral primary, and it was about the messaging. It was about policy, and that's what everyone who actually cares has been saying.
And then all these dumbasses,
and every bad-faced dipshit, like, it's because he did man on the street videos. I got to go do some man on the street.
It can't be the
like,
policies.
Yeah, sure,
it's got to
whatever.
be the
like,
charisma.
It's the messaging strategy and the social media strategy. And you know what? Whoever you guys are hiring for your social media,
keep on doing it. Yeah, just keep it up.
We love what they're doing. Yeah, keep it up. We're huge fans. Alyssa Slotkin, if you want to come on our show, actually, we have an open invite. I'll send over.
I'll say that I'm a Republican, and then we can have your exact format that you're looking for.
Can pretend to be
one pretend Republican, one pretend Democrat.
Pretend to be Republican. Yeah, I will be so nice. I'll be so sweet.
That
like
old
this,
Tucker Carlson
show,
Crossfire, or whatever it was.
We're gonna ask you nice stuff like, what do you think about balls? What do you think about baseball? Huh? You do that? No, we'll just talk like
the
we're
Nelk
babies.
Boys.
So
we'll talk about your favorite.
No
yeah,
hard
we'll ask
questions.
if you like BK or McDonald's.
Yeah, we want to talk about your favorite fast food chain. Yeah, it's gonna be totally chill. We'll get your Subway take. Chill. I don't care.
We're also gonna launder in the CIA at some point and just talk about how cool we think they are. Super duper cool.
If you want to do MK Ultra through our podcast, we can do that. We can figure it out. Come on, just give us the tech, and we'll set it up. We got it. It'll be so fun.
We would gladly.
We love you, girl.
Participate in some kind of psyop.
We want you on the show. Yeah, we would love to be a part of your psyop. We think your psyop is slaying, girl. It's so skibbity, I'm a Gen Alpha influencer. This is going to be a great fit for you, and we're doing bipartisan queer pop energy here. That's what we're doing.
Bipartisan queer agit pop.
That's what it is. So we think that that's a perfect fit for what you guys do. So come on the show, Alyssa Slotkin. To any of our subscribers and our audience listening so far, thank you for bearing with us on this brutally tired episode of the Broken Wind podcast. Follow me on Bluesky. I was recently unbanned because I was being too good at free speech.
He spent a little bit of time
and they banned me
in a prison cell in Siberia.
Bluesky prison, yeah.
He's a true revolutionary.
I was in the Bluesky gulag for a minute because I kept posting a pig with on its at Alyssa Slotkin. But I was just being brat. So I was being brat. That's what it is. I was being demure. I was being brat. We're still about that. We sold you. We're still demure on here. So come demure with us. Thank you for everyone who has demurred with us so far. And Alyssa, we'd love to have you. Please come on the show. And follow me on Bluesky. I'm at Butler's Ghost. I'm unbanned. We beat the charges, folks. The lawyers were expensive, but we beat the charges. So follow me on there. Follow Vane.
Yeah, follow the show.
I don't know what your handle is.
Broken
follow
Wind
the show.
Podcast at Bluesky.
We'll start posting the episodes on Bluesky again at some point. We'll get there. Just come on. Look, we have real jobs. Unlike these staff people doing posts, the worst posts
I wish I had an army of
job.
useless people working underneath me, but I don't. Not yet.
No, you know what? We got to do real shit. So we thank you for coming to the show. Bye-bye. Thank you again.